car maker Tesla is now facing a criminal investigation over statements made by their CEO, Elon Musk. Bloomberg first broke the news that the Department of Justice has opened a probe into fraud at Tesla after Musk roiled the markets last month with a tweet. He said, and this is the tweet, he was considering taking the company private at $420 a share, funding secured. Musk says he has since abandoned that plan, but the tweet has exposed him to legal risk.
I mean, this one is extraordinary to me, and it was at the time. In a statement, Tesla said, quote, it received a voluntary request for documents from the Department of Justice and has been cooperative in responding to it. We respect the Department of Justice's desire to get information about this and believe that the matter should be quickly resolved. Tesla was already under a civil investigation by the SEC Commission for the claim.
So that's the important part. The SEC is a civil matter. It's not criminal. The Department of Justice handles criminal matters. In many cases, they're both investigating similar things.
We do just have to put this in perspective for the audience. When the CEO of a publicly traded company makes any sort of statement, it has to be vetted. It has to go through their legal team. When he says something like, we've got funding secured, that is a market. This person has inside information. And this is a market moving incident. And remember, Elon Musk has been in a fight with short sellers, with journalists for the last year. And this is all coming at a time when he is having production problems with the Model 3. And he's already promised that they're going to have a huge second half of the year. It's huge.
Joining us now is Jesse Westbrook, financial regulations editor for Bloomberg News. Jesse, good to see you. Look, for much of our audience, they're not steeped in these financial rules, but there are rules that govern how, when you're going to sell your company or you're looking at selling your company or you're going to do something material, how you distribute that information in a way that everybody to whom it's important gets it the same way and at the same time. That's initially what the problem is with what Elon Musk did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the tweet is really the issue in and itself. I mean, SEC's evolved, the world's evolved. I mean, a tweet could be pretty broad dissemination. I don't think the SEC really has an issue with that. The issue is what Stephanie alluded to, is whether you're really being truthful when you say you have funding secured. Now that we have the Justice Department involved, I mean, for the SEC, they can kind of get him just for that statement not being true. If you said you had funding secured and you didn't, that's a pretty easy SEC case to bring. The Justice Department, it's a much higher burden. I mean, they have to sort of show that there was some premeditated intent to mislead the market, and that's a lot of times found in emails that may or may not exist. Something where you send an email to a colleague saying, I'm going to show those short sellers once and for all, watch my Twitter feed at 4 p.m. today. I'm going to say I've got funding secured to take the company private. The implication is people are shorting the stock, which means they're betting on it going down. You make a statement like this, and a whole bunch of investors see it and say, or people see it and say, oh, I'm going to buy Tesla stock because this guy's going to take it out at $420, and it does the opposite of what the short sellers expected it was going to do. So you could end up costing people money with information that's not actually true.
And then those short sellers take it right up the drawers if it's misinformation.
Yeah, and I mean, the stock did initially jump, but then the market figured out pretty quickly that, does he really have funding secured? Is he really going to get $420 a share for this company? And the stock has fallen something like 25% since that tweet. So, I mean, you can fool the market for some period of time, but you can't fool the market that long.
And what have we heard from Tesla? Because soon after it happened, there was some hazy conversation. Board members, one of which is his brother, said, well, he mentioned this in a board meeting, but saying in a board meeting while you're trying to rescue your company from a bad situation, hey, maybe we take this thing private, is miles away from funding secured.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have heard sort of in dribs and drabs that the board was shocked by that initial tweet. The board had no idea, as far as we know, that he had some sort of serious plan. He claimed that the Saudi Arabian Investment Authority, big sovereign wealth fund in Saudi Arabia, was where the funding was going to come from. I mean, what we can be sure about is that the SEC and maybe the Justice Department too are going to talk to all those parties to see who knew what, when they knew it, and what was not revealed to the market and board members when Musk made that tweet.
And have we heard any statements specifically from Elon Musk? I mean, this guy has had a devastating week.
Well, it was interesting in one of the sort of early reports, New York Times interviewed him, and he said he didn't regret the tweet. I mean, it's hard to see why you wouldn't regret that tweet. I mean, it might go down as one of the most, biggest unforced errors in the history of corporate America. I mean, yes, there have been other problems at Tesla, like you alluded to, Model 3 production, the company hasn't returned to profit. But I mean, that tweet, the distractions that it's created, the sort of insecurity in shareholders that it's created, I mean, no CEO wants to get even a voluntary request from the Department of Justice. I mean, it's always bad news if you're a corporation and the Justice Department is knocking on your door.
Well, never back down, never say you're wrong, never say sorry. Many people compare Elon Musk, saying he's sort of the Donald Trump of corporate America, and that is the exact sort of Roy Cohn, Donald Trump playbook. It's a stunning one.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like whether shareholders agree with that and whether shareholders remain confident in the company. I mean, as I said, a Justice Department investigation is never a positive thing. And if you've got all these other issues at Tesla, questions about whether the Model 3 is ever going to be scaled up, questions about whether the company is ever going to make a profit, and then the distraction of the SEC and DOJ going through emails, talking to board members, so on and so forth. I mean, it's not positive. It's definitely not positive.
Jesse, good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us. Jesse Westbrook is a financial regulation editor.
This week, Ali, Elon Musk has been sued by one of the divers in Southeast Asia.
Right.
He is in delivery.
We call it a pedophile.
Yes, he's in delivery logistics hell. He now potentially has this, or has a probe going on, and Audi is now in production of an electric car.
I mean, this is a guy, Elon Musk, who for many people, they have thought of him as the Leonardo da Vinci of our time, right? This futurist, this remarkably big thinker.
Stocks killed it.
But you've got Richard Branson, who manages to make it through life without doing stuff like this, and still, really works outside of the normal lines. This is crazy. Elon Musk is just... You
can have revolutionary, outside-the-box thinkers, CEOs, and then, of course, amidst all of this drama, what was it, a week ago? He appeared on a podcast smoking weed.
Yeah. Interesting character. Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.